Hello, everybody. Just getting stuff set up. So just bear with me as I get everything announced. And I'll probably do a couple rounds with the game, and then while we wait see who all may or may not join us, and we will go from there. Hello, chat. All right. Let me get this going. And then yeah. Hello. And we will. Yeah. Gotta get. I mean, technically, there is a mod where every character has like a Bio Broly-esque version of themselves. So I don't know where the mod is for it, but it would help if I'm playing at normal speed. Oh, I'm dead. Let me do that again. No, I want it on there. Go away. There is. I don't know what all goes on with that mod, but there is that version of the mod. All right, take that, Goldo. Yeah, like with the Booverse mod, one thing to be mindful of is I'm not even sure. I don't know if it's still the download link is still good. The last time I looked for it, I couldn't find it, but chances are I just wasn't looking in the right spot. Oh. I'll have to ask around then. See if we can find it. But yeah, so let me go ahead and we'll get started. So, alrighty. Let me find my. Alrighty. Let's see. That's not gonna work the way I want it to. So we will just do it this way then. Alright. Hello everybody. I'm your host, Mal, staff member, longtime member of the DBZ League community. And today we're just, last few weeks been doing chill stream. Today we're just going to kind of take a look at some of the DBZ League 101 basics. If you've been a supporter here for any length of time, there's probably not much new here to talk about. We will just get cover some of this stuff to where if you have a friend who's interested, you could just let them listen to what we're talking about, and they could get a good idea of what the league is about. So let me turn off the non-matching music to what we're talking about, and we'll go from there. So, what is DBZ League? Yeah, helps if I can click the right button. So DBZ League is an AI versus AI league running on Tenkaichi 3. We've been going at this since 2011, and we are built around 16 teams. Each of these teams has their own defining theme, and these themes help give each team an identity and some cohesion that you really don't find in a lot of other leagues. And this is a big reason why we haven't dropped these themes, despite every now and again someone asking, hey, should we remove these themes? When we start digging into it and actually looking at what that might entail, people really get attached to their teams, and they don't want to see their team theme go away. We have in the past done other events like Tournament of Power, or in the minor leagues, where you could draft characters and build your own team. A lot of people have fun with that, and it's a good way to shake things up without really losing that team cohesion. And before we go too much further, we will take a quick look at each of the team themes. And we're just going to go as soon as the website comes up. And just kind of top to bottom, we start off with the androids, who are our cybernetic characters or robots, bio androids, and mechanical suits. Um, on our website, we have the listing of their current roster, their free agent, and who's on their master list. Android's very well known for primarily for Cell and 17, but occasionally, 16 or Cyborg Tau will go there. Looks like I never got around to updating the banners, but hopefully you guys get the idea behind this team. Budokai is our team that these are characters who actively and legitimately participated in the World Martial Arts Tournament, also known as the Budokai Tenkaichi. They, we don't really count the junior division for this. Well, we didn't in the past, but we do now. Just anyone who participated on screen in some way. Buu Saga is our characters who had a prominent or active role within the last saga of Dragon Ball Z. Again, one of our top teams, the very powerful team. Cinema is all of our characters who debuted in the movies before they showed up in the manga or anime. Cold Kingdom, kind of self-explanatory. Any member of the Cold family or those who they ruled over, including the Saiyans. Derp, probably one of our most recognizable teams by brand. These are the guys who were very hyped up, but they ended up being made so weak it was dumb. I mean, you can think of Hercule is the picture perfect example of this, as is Salza, who in the Cooler movie, he punched Goku in the face, and Goku just absolutely did not care. Earth Defenders, basically the Z Fighters. Pretty much any of the main protagonists or their allies in Dragon Ball Z, all from the Saiyan Saga to the Buu Saga. GT is also very similar. Any character who made a significant contribution to the story of Dragon Ball GT. Hybrids, any character that has a mix of two or more races DNA. So this is usually the Saiyan hybrids, so like Gohan, Goten, Trunks, Pan. This also now includes like Gotenks Buu for having Piccolo and all the other, Piccolo, Gotenks, so on and so forth. Cell is Cell and Cell Jr., another example. Kaiju, any character who can transform into a giant, referencing the Japanese kaiju movies like Godzilla, Gamera, all those characters. This is what used to be the Saiyans, if you're familiar with the old League of Dragon, the old version of Dragon Ball Z League. This team replaced the Saiyans, where now they have characters like Slug, Kid Goku, Janemba, who we modded to start in his super form to transform into his giant form. But moving on, we also have Muscle, who are that's exactly what you think. They are the guys who took Muscles to the next level. Looks like they're about to roid out and just break your face. Namek, any fighter that is Namekian or created by the Namekians or has Namekian DNA. One of our teams with a more fairly limited master list. But they do have access to some good characters like Cell Jr., Noova. Next is Resurrected Warriors. Any character who is resurrected from the dead through any means, like the Dragon Balls or Whis' time rewind ability. Pretty self-explanatory. Also have the largest master list in the league. So lots of options there. Royals is pretty clearly any character who has been given or gave themselves a royal title, and it was a very core part of their identity. So, you think of Vegeta saying he is the Prince of all Saiyans. You think of King Vegeta. You think of Pilaf. Um, so yes, I see that, Carrick. We'll be getting to your team in a moment. Next is Rugrats. Any character that has a childlike body and is either under the age of 12 or has a child moniker. Like Kid Goku, Goten, Trunks, Aurelie, Cell Jr., Pan, all these different characters. And then last, and certainly not least, Sentai Squad. Any character who is clearly inspired by the Sentai series. So if you're not familiar with Sentai specifically, that think Power Rangers, Beetleborgs, any any series similar like that. You got characters who can fight as a team, transform. Some type of special outfit. Some type of color coordination or matching outfit. They make the poses. We also have a few alternative requirements to where if the Sentai character has a secret identity, that secret identity is also included. So like for Power Rangers, especially when they first started out, they no one could know who they were. Similarly, like say a man, say a woman, Gohan and Videl are included for that same reason. Or if they have a transformation akin to a Megazord, like Pilaf. But yeah, those are our teams. So, and the way our system works is we have what are 4 divisions. We call them the Kais. After North Kai, South Kai, East Kai, West Kai. From Dragon Ball Z, in descending order, these teams are arranged by how they performed the previous season during the main season. So if you look at our North Kai teams, those are the teams that had the highest win-loss record for 2024. In 2023, whoever the teams had the 4 top teams in the main season, that is this year's North Kai. We do give a bit of importance to the divisional matches, which are just matches between 2 teams in the same Kai. So, 2 North Kai teams fight, that's a divisional, and these are tiebreakers for seeding for the postseason and for the next season, which, if you're in our Discord, you know, at the end of the main season, there's lots of talk about tiebreakers and who gets seeded where and all that fun stuff. So let's talk about our seasonal format. Each year we have a 4-week preseason, a 15-week main season, and then about an 8-week postseason that includes our playoffs and Tenkaichi Bowl, which is our finale of the year. And during the year, we also hold several events like our Dragon Trials, Least Valuable Player Tournament, and All Stars. Just to help make sure we have lots of content for our viewers to enjoy. And some of these give different event, they give different rule sets for our active supporters to have fun with. If you watch our Dragon Trials earlier this year, that was where our top 3 teams could build gauntlet level teams and have some fun with that. They got to have additional build rules, extra Pataras, things like that. Just things they could have fun with. Give them a little bit of a different challenge. Our least valuable player tournament's a ring out match where teams submit their weakest character for fun and just lots of good silly time. And then during our main season and postseason, we follow a pretty straightforward matchup. Our main season is a round robin with 4v4 fights. The posts, and these are best of one, so whoever takes the first, when androids fights muscle, they only get one shot to beat muscle. If they win, great. If they don't, well, too bad. But in the postseason, not only do we follow 5v5, so maxing out what the game allows, it is a best 2 out of 3. And how that works is, let's go back to the example of androids versus muscle. Let's say in the postseason, androids is fighting muscle. Week 1, they'll have 1 round, and let's say androids win. So week 2, androids and muscle will fight again, and they'll have both rounds 2 and 3. But during that week break, androids and muscle can make any adjustments they think are necessary. So if muscle says, hey, let's say week 1 they started with Trunks. Well, maybe Trunks got, his face beat in by 16, and they're like, well, let's don't put Trunks in. Let's put 13 in first. Or maybe androids, say, hey, we don't want to put Cell on Savior. Let's give that Savior to Cyborg Tau or Android 19 or someone else. They can make those changes in between those weeks. That second week, however, matches 2 and 3 will have the same builds. The only real difference is the map that the teams are fighting on will alternate each round. So round 1, might take place at Android's home map. Then round 2 would take place at Muscles, and round 3 would take place at Androids. So, yeah. And we'll just focus a little bit on the main season. The main season is a 15-week round robin, so all 16 teams will fight one another. And that is incorrect. It is between 9 and 10. We take a 2-week break between weeks 9 and 10 to have our All-Stars match up with the sweeper games. And the sweeper games really gives us a week break to allow us to draft teams for the All-Stars match. This has been a fun time where, the sweepers have had various themes over the years. Last year was the Yamcha games where, you had to survive against 5 Cybermen, each with 1 bar of health, but they were very much built to self-destruct. But moving on from that, aside from that 2-week break, again, we've got 15 weeks of the main season. Each week, teams earn 1 Zenny for winning main season match, or 2. They earn 2 Zenny for a loss. This is it works that way as a bit of a balancing factor. And during the main season, Zenny can be spent on boosts from the Boost store, which we'll talk about when we talk about our Pataras and other, and how to build characters. But just be mindful, for the moment, the Boost store is just something that teams can go to help give them an edge in one particular match. During the postseason, I've already mentioned that these are best 2 out of 3 single eliminations. So once you lose in the postseason, your season is done. We kick off the postseason with our least valuable player tournament. A lot of this is just to help us finish collecting stats and help make sure any tiebreakers are resolved before we go into seeding. And the finals is our Tenkaichi Bowl, where we also have a boss rush event and our most valuable player tournament. The Tenkaichi Bowl itself, I mentioned earlier that our playoff matches are best of 3. The Tenkaichi Bowl is a best of 5 over 2 weeks, and it helps team, similar to the postseason matches being done over 2 weeks. This helps teams adjust and give us the best matches that they can. So, before we move into talking about move types, chat, do you guys want me to go over how the postseason seeding works, or do y'all want me to move on? Hmm. Okay. I will move on to the next slide, and from there, if chat wants me to go back, we'll go back. So, you guys have probably heard us talking about things like B2s, B1s, melee, rush blast, key blasts. And if you're a new viewer, you may not know what all these things are. B1s are skill moves. They don't necessarily do damage. A couple do, mostly explosive waves. Sometimes they give things like stat bonuses, or they negate other attacks like barriers. Rush blasts or key blasts. These are just, let me.
I want to try gathering the Dragon Ball.
And we're gonna mute that, and here we go. So for here, we'll just show off some of these moves. So, these are the rush blasts. Cell Jr. gets, I think, up to 4 in a volley. B1s, he has Solar Flare, which will de-lock a character, and it'll force him to look around for him. What's his other one? His other one's an explosive wave. One of the only ones that does damage. B2s are special moves. So, like Cell Jr. has special beam cannon, and what we call a rush B2, which is just a dash and it triggers a cutscene like this. And then their ultimate is when they're at full key and they have to charge and they get the blue key like this. They'll get a very powerful attack that does usually at least a bar damage. And melee is pretty much any other move in the game, like just punches, kicks, grabs, and then just going from there. Those are the basic move types in the league. Some characters have unique mechanics associated with this, like with their moves, like Dr. Giro and 19 and Super 17 can absorb ki either from energy attacks like Kamehamehas or Rush Blasts. Giro and 19 can, when they grab you, they can absorb your ki or with your health. So, every week you guys hear us reading off a character's build. And this is really what allows us to provide the level of customization and strategy that DBZ League has, because it allows you to customize your characters in a way that you think makes best use of their moveset. There's 3 types of Pataras in the league. There's blue Pataras, which they provide pure stat bonuses, so that's attack, defense, ki, and super. Yellow Pataras, sometimes they provide stat bonuses, but they usually provide other, like, more niche bonuses. Like sometimes they'll provide healing, or they'll provide bonuses to your clashes, or maybe do one specific move. Like maybe they just boost your ultimate damage, or maybe they let you come in at starting with maximum power, and you can throw out that ult right away. I just saw that chat. Let me try to mess with my and let me know if I start sounding better. Chat, am I sounding better? I can. Oh, it switched my mic. Okay, I'm sorry, chat. It switched my mic and I did not notice. Okay, that should be better. Do I need to repeat the previous section? Or am I good? Okay, there we go. Much better. All right. We'll move on. I will cover some of the other stuff at the end. So blue pataras. These are generally just pure stat bonuses. For the most part, they're fairly well calculated out in our player calculator tool. For especially for melee and super, these are pretty accurate. So attack plus 1, it's basically a 12.5% bonus to all attacks that aren't B2s. Stat bonuses from blue pataras can stack up to what we call a +4 for these, so up to a 50% boost. But do be mindful that because of how the game rounds and applies other effects in the code, that 12.5% is not necessarily exact, but it should be fairly close. Yellow pataras, as I mentioned, they give a wide range of other bonuses to further customize characters. The biggest thing is, unlike blue pataras, these do not stack with each other. And beyond that, certain effects, they're in a hierarchy. Like if you have multiple pataras that do the same thing, just at a different scale, the patara with the highest scale or the biggest bonus takes precedence. The example I use here is Dragon Power and Power of Rage. Both of them boost clashes, but only if you had both of them on a build, Dragon Power is going to win out. For a lot of these pataras, the game itself will stop you from trying to put both of them on the same build. But between some modding we've done and just the fact that Patara, you can only have Pataras belonging in one group that will lock each other out. Sometimes you do find cases where you can stack duplicate essentially stack the same Patara effect on a character. And then on top of this, in most cases, a negative and positive effect will cancel each other out. Sometimes if there is a hierarchy between the negative and the positive, usually the negative will win out over the positive. So best case scenario, they cancel each other out. Worst case, the negative takes priority. AI Pataras, this just kind of guides how your character will use their moveset. We tend to categorize them as melee or B2. B1 AIs are also B1 emphasis is also sometimes a thing, with B2 AIs being some of them like Chaozu, Tien, Yajirobe. Melee AIs include like Trunks, Smudge, and Boo, Broly. A few are balanced, like Goku AI. Ostensibly Vegeta AI is supposed to focus on your rush blasts, and Ginyu. I think the game itself tends to categorize, Ginyu is more of a B1 or balanced AI. We definitely see, and there's definitely a change in how the game, the characters behave on different AIs. So on our website, we have a list of the AI descriptions that the game provides. To some extent, these are generally accurate. Sometimes, some of these are just flat out wrong. Like TN, it says it emphasizes close range rush and ultimate blasts. While yes, it does emphasize using ultimates more often than some other AIs, it'll just throw B2s out whenever it feels like it. And it does not matter if they're across the map or 2 feet in front of you. Raccoon AI is just garbage from most of the testing. Gohan AI is it says it becomes offensive while in max power mode. What that really means is when it's in max power mode, it's going to focus more on melee or trying to attack and set up a B2 or a melee combo. Cell is also a little bit of a weird description. It tends to like doing a melee combo or two, then running away, and then coming back in and doing the same thing just over and over. And so one of the things that teams do in the off season is they will test all these different AIs on their characters and try to find which AI gives them the pattern that they like to see. And whichever pattern they like is the one that they will use for the postseason, for main season, postseason, to try and win the Tenkaichi Bowl. And where did it go? There. So now that we talk about Pataras, we can talk a little bit more about the boost store. So when we look at our Pataras, we have a number of rules in place. Each player gets 7 points with which to choose from blue Pataras and yellow Pataras. And the game has an inbuilt limit of you can have 7 Pataras plus an AI Patara on your build. And to keep things generally strategic, making you have to think about what Pataras you're going to use and on whom, you get 7 points to work with. And, with a very few exceptions, every Patara is limited to 2 uses per team. There's a couple that are restricted to 1 use per team. For yellow Pataras, it's effectively just Eternal Life. But any blue Patara is also limited to 1 use. And blue Pataras are restricted to 1 per character on your team. So, here you can see we have on our website, we have a listing of all the Pataras that we have available, along with what their effects are, and some notes that help give some more concrete understanding of what these Pataras do. So the way you read across is, Patara name, how many points it costs, what the description is, and what the notes on the league are. So there's only a few blue Pataras that we allow for use in the league. On a week-to-week basis, there's a lot more yellow Pataras. We also provide a breakdown that is, about how many points each are. So like there's a tab for 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, up to the singular 5 point Patara that we have, which is Halo. And we also provide a link to our boost store Pataras, or the Pataras we offer through the boost store. Now, to come back to the boost store, the boost store allows you to bypass certain rule limitations in exchange for Zenny. So if you have, if you're going into an important match and you're halfway through the season. You've got a bunch of Zenny at your disposal. You can come to the boost store and purchase one of these Pataras that either you can't get in any other way because they're a little too powerful to just let go running around for free usage. Or you can purchase a Patara like Power of Rage, Kabito's Secret Art, because you're only allowed 2 usages of these Pataras, and maybe you need a third for 1 week. Maybe you've got 3 characters that run Power of Rage, or 3 that run Light Body, and you need a third just to make your builds work for that week. That is certainly possible, and this is one of the things you can do to help give you an edge. And that being said, there are some other boosts that we do allow. We just have another listing of which Pataras are available here. But we do have other boosts like so on weeks 6 and 11, we allow every team to immediately swap their free agent. So if you've been working with a character for 5 weeks and that character is just dragging your team down, you can bring in your free agent for that character. Or maybe you said, hey, we're going to try one last thing on our free FA swap week, and the next week you're like, well, we're going to pay the 2 Zenny because that did not work. Or maybe you need to bench a character on the FA swap, but you can't just put them on the regular bench for one reason or another. Well, you can put them on the FA bench for a week and just pay Zenny to get them off and on. We also have a correspond, during the main season, we have what's called a limiter, which prevents a character from transforming. Most teams get a singular limiter to help control, so maybe, like Cinema has Garlic Jr. on their team. Maybe they don't want Garlic Jr. to transform. At the beginning of the season, they say, hey, we're going to put a limiter on them. If they want to, they can remove that limiter. It's a one-time thing. We also let them purchase if they want to reuse the same blue Patara, they can spend 2 Zenny and get reuse a blue, which lets you use the same blue Patara on 2 characters, which can be pretty impactful. Blue Pataras, especially if you get a stat +2, sometimes that -1 is fairly impactful. Like very, we can see that, particularly with like super +2 key -1, that -20% to your charge rate can be fairly. It can make a bigger difference than you would think, and maybe you'd rather have a second super +1, or vice versa. Maybe you found 2 characters that run super +2 really well, and you're fine sacrificing that charge. We also, since every team has 5 characters that they rotate between, one thing is we require you to change who your bench is every week. So, but maybe you want one character benched 2 weeks in a row. Well, you can spend 4 Zenny, and that can happen. It doesn't let you exceed the 3 benches that a character is allowed each season, but it can help you be a little more strategic in when you do bench. And finally, you can trade out if you're at home and perhaps you don't like the map you have for a season. You can trade out your map for a different map on a week-to-week basis. Oh, hey, Armed. We're just talking about the boost store at the moment. So, oh yeah. So, yeah, that's that. That is what the boost store is for. The boost store is not for use during the playoffs. and it is not for use in the preseason. But it can be impactful when used judiciously. And sometimes at the end of the year, people will just go in and spend all their zenny on one match, and they will come to the boost store and just grab all of the super expensive boosts, of which there are several. Right here you see we've got several at 5 or 6. We've also got a couple others at 4 and 5 down here. A running joke is that for several years in a row, Cold would never spend their zenny until week 15, when they would just spend all their zenny on making sure every character on their team could run Style of the Strong and maybe get off an ultimate. Um, but it. Yeah. Sorry, D. I'm not sure. Thought you could do what, anyways. So, but yeah, that is the Boost store. And so now, we've already talked a fair bit about how to build a character, and here we're just gonna go through a couple examples. And let's say we're building Cell Junior. We'll do custom too, so I don't have to worry, because I'll be doing his builds soon enough anyway. So let's say we'll give him attack +1. Um, no, you can't change maps from week to week. You can in Smash League, not in DBZ League. Smash League, but because just of the variety of maps are changeable from week to week. DBZ League, once you have selected your map during the off season, you have that map for the whole season, and you have to spend zenny. If you're at home and you don't like your map for whatever reason for a particular match, you can spend zenny to change it. So let's see. So let's say for the purpose of this example, we have Cell Junior. We'll give him eternal life, and then let's say we want him to have. So we've only got 2 more points, so we could either give him Chase Down Artist, which would allow him to do a little more of a specific form of melee, where he'll dragon dash behind characters and push, just give them a big hit to give them a lot of damage. The AI is not always the best at using that. Other options would be like Sirius, where your attack stat rises as your health decreases. And then let's say on top of that, we're going to go for another common thing you'll see is Savior. So Savior allows you to go. This armed to this will probably be the stream that we point to people. I don't know that we will have time to turn it into a proper like short worthy thing. But after getting these 7 points on a build, you can come in here and choose which AI a character runs with. So since this is a very melee oriented build, we might want to use Trunks AI. And then because I don't want to wait, and we're not going to save for right now, we'll go into a duel single battle. Actually, let's do ultimate training, just to better showcase the difference in So, and then we will use base form Frieza for this. And we'll go to All Stars just to have a little more fun with it. So if you watch, you see he can do 260. And then, yeah, Frieza gets knocked away, it does just under 2,000 damage. And you'll notice if you do it from the front, it'll do a little bit less. So when you hit someone from the back, there's about a 10 to 20% damage increase. But having shown that, another good one is we can just do a grab. Base grab does 960. We'll go to character select. And again, I don't like to wait, so So here's the build we selected. And then yeah, you saw before it was doing 260, now it does 300. And then from the back does 360. And then now the grab's doing 1070. And for grabs, it doesn't really do different damage based off of where you grab them from. And then you'll notice the Savior didn't come into play here because since this is a single battle, Savior doesn't matter. Savior will only matter in team battle where Cell Jr. could tag in. So let's go to another character to show, similar thing for the B2. 17 will do very nicely for this. So because there's actually two mechanics that will come into play. So there's 17's base damage, and there's another one where you see this boost. Boosting is just a mechanic where if you hit the buttons in time, it will give you an extra 10% damage on that B2. So now if we go back, let's look at the build that Androids had on him most recently, which is on Custom 1. So he had Super Up 1, Indignation, Fighting Spirit, Serious, Key Control, and Focus Shot. What this build would do is it gives him a lot of stats in his super, because Super Up 1 will give him an extra 12.5% to damage for his B2s. Indignation will give him a little bit more damage each health bar he loses. Fighting Spirit will give him a little more charge each bar of health he loses. Same, and Sirius will do the same for his melee. Key Control will increase 17's key efficiency. Like, he will spend a lot less key as he flies around, as he shoots off rush blasts, at the expense of charging up a little more slowly. And Focus Shot helps him do a little bit more B2 damage at the expense of not doing his B1s as much. So let's see, is there another good one? No, we'll just do this then. So, and since this is training mode, I can't really showcase off the damage as he loses health, but right here you can already see that he is doing a lot more damage with the Super Up 1 and Focus Shot coming into play. And let's see, yeah, I think with with his boost, it'll do almost 10,000 damage, which is almost a bar of health for each B2. Yeah, and his other one will do about 7,200 at the same time. But actually, this will be a good Android barrier, and his finish sign will give the little hand icon is a melee bonus. The lightning is a B2 damage bonus. Finish sign is a straight up +2. So with everything, he does 11.6k damage. So very powerful B2 build, very demonstrative of what a character can do with their builds. And with it being AI versus AI, human, it cannot control it, and sometimes the AI will look at the build and say, I don't care that it's built for B2s, I'm going to melee. And they will waste the build. Other times they won't. The AI setting we used for the league was modded into the game. So because we have found it to probably be one of the most interesting, it's probably the most interesting AI setting to watch. In the old league, we spent the first 6 seasons on just the very hard vanilla game difficulty. And for season 7 and 8, we used Sparking Trainer, which was, I want to say, written by one of the guys that's now doing BT4. And then season 9 and 10, we used a cheated difficulty that's about midway between the difficulty we were using on the Sparking Trainer and the vanilla game very hard difficulty. And eventually we just modded that directly into the game, so we don't need a cheat file or anything like that anymore. But yeah. So we did have a request from chat to go over how the postseason seeding works. While I'm doing that, chat, come up with some. Let me know if you have any other questions. This is time to get those questions answered, and then we will call it a night from there. So postseason seeding, how it works is at the end of the main season. So in about 2 months from now, the teams with the highest win-loss record in each division in each Kai gets a bye for the first week of the postseason. And let me pull up the stats spreadsheet. So we have a stats spreadsheet that is available. It is also on we have a link to it on the website. So wrong button. Eventually it'll load. So here you can see the team stats, and at the end of the main season, when every team has had their 15 matches, we will look at these records. The top team in each division will receive a bye into the playoffs. They'll also very likely be seeded in the North Kai, but you never know. But let me go there, and then the teams with the 4 lowest win-loss records across the league, they will be out of the playoffs. So if you look at here, right now the 4 teams with the lowest win-loss records, not accounting for tiebreakers, are Kaiju, Rugrats, Budokai, and Muscle. Like if the season were to end today, these 4 teams would be knocked out. Then they would not be in the playoffs. So And let's say for argument's sake, like just say that Kaiju, Rugrats, Budokai Muscle were all in a division. Because there is a four-way tie with all these teams at 2 and 4. Like Kaiju being the divisional champ in this case would mean that androids are knocked out and Kaiju is safe. Again, this is just hypothetical. Not even looking at tiebreakers for this, but like Kaiju would be safe because the divisional champ that they get seeded into the playoffs. So, while divisionals don't matter as much as, for our supporters who have been here a while, divisionals used to matter a lot. They can still matter because, like right here, you see Kaiju and Rugrats are tied. Whoever won the match between Kaiju and Rugrats would be the divisional champ, and they would get the bye. The other would be knocked out, or more accurately, they would have to be compared to Namek and androids to see who had the most tiebreakers. But anyway, so after we have put the top 4 in their given them their bye and seeded them into a bracket, the bottom 4 have been knocked out. The remaining 8 teams are then seeded based on their win-loss record. If there are any ties, like we see right here, we've got a whole bunch of people tied at 4 and 2, a few at 3 and 2, and several at 2 and 4. What would happen? We'll talk about the tiebreaker in a minute, but all these guys get seeded into a bracket. Bracket 1 is team the highest seed versus the lowest seed, so team 1 versus team 8. Bracket 2 is team 2 versus team 7, so on and so forth. That formatting did not come out right. But and then the winner of these brackets will face off the divisional champions in the next round, and as they knock each other out, we'll go to the semifinals and then the playoffs. Tiebreakers, which are very important here. So you guys see all these tiebreakers. For the sake of argument, let's say, we've got North Kai right here. So right here we've got Cold Kingdom versus Earth Defenders, in a 2-way tie. We give the tiebreaker to whoever wins the match between them. So Cold Kingdom versus Earth Defenders. If Earth Defenders beat Cold Kingdom, they get the tiebreaker and thus the higher seeding and a slightly easier playoff bracket. If Cold won, they would get that easier seeding. But in some of these larger ones, what we would do is, like right here, we have Cold Kingdom, Earth Defenders, Sentai, and Hybrids. What we would do is create an artificial division of these 4 teams. So Cold Kingdom, Earth Defenders. Let me put this in a text editor. So Cold, Earth Defenders, Sentai, and Hybrids, and GT. So what we would do is we would then look at all the divisionals here and put them in and just start counting who won all these. And let's so in this case, we've got 10 divisionals to look at. So let's say cold, cold wins. If they go 4-0 in their divisionals, cold would be seated at the top. If they went 0-4, cold would be at the bottom of this divisional. So, but for while I'm filling out cold versus the cold's divisional matches randomly, chat, tell me who you want to see win some of these other quote unquote divisionals, just to make things interesting. So let's say Edie won this, cold. Mhm. Yep, hearing nothing, I will put more. I'll just fill these out. All right, so in this example, shoot, I made everybody get 2 wins. That we will make this cold, make that easy. So, cold ended up with 3 divisional wins. Edie had 2 wins. Sentai had 2 wins. And GT had 1 win. So here, cold won. Cold is at the top. GT is at the bottom. Oh, so. Oh, okay, so hybrids. Well, we'll change that out. And then Sentai stops ED. Okay. Hybrids beat Sentai, so we will change that. So 1 and 3. So this almost also makes it easier. So here to see who wins this toss up, we would look at cold versus hybrids, and we would say, hey, cold won that divisional, so cold takes the top. Then we would look at Sentai versus GT. So because Sentai won versus GT, or GT won versus Sentai, GT takes the divisional win, and Sentai is now in the bottom. And then between hybrids, ED, and GT, they are all, they are all clearly delineated, so there's no further changes needed. And this can mean any number of things. Like this could mean, like in this case, this just determines divisional seating. Go away. So, like cold, we would have cold, then hybrids and North Chi. For example, if this is for divisional seating, this would be cold, hybrids, ED, GT, Sentai in that order. Now, let's change this a little bit. Let's go back to my example a minute ago, where GT had 1 win, ED, Sentai, and Hybrids all had 2. And this is where it gets fun. So with Cold and GT out of the way, we would bring down just Earth Defenders, Sentai, and Hybrids. So ED versus Sentai, ED versus Hybrids, and then Sentai versus Hybrids. So that is the divisionals between these 3 teams. And we see here, Sentai won 2 of these. And Hybrids won 1. So we would arrange them as Sentai, Hybrids, and ED. So in this case, like that's a very clear delineation. So like the final ordering would then be, Cold, Sentai, Hybrids, Earth Defenders, and GT because of how that ordering worked. So let's say instead, these 3, we're going to keep this Earth Defenders, Sentai, and Hybrids example, and we're going to say, Earth Defenders, Hybrids, and Sentai are all they each won 1 divisional between the 3 of them. So this method is just not going to work. There's no way to resolve this tie just on tiebreakers alone. In this case, what we're going to do is go to the main season total, and we're going to get the top 5 average damage done for each team. And sometimes this gets complicated because of free agents. But like for Earth Defenders, they never use their free agents, so we're just going to take these 5 and get their average damage of the top 5, and we're going to compare it to that of Hybrids and Sentai. And we lucked out. So none of them have used it. So in this case, we see Earth Defenders has an average damage of 238,000, Hybrids has 224, and Sentai has 221. So in this case, if it came down to it, Earth Defenders here takes the tiebreaker. And that's one reason why sometimes people are like, well, why don't you do things in just 1 week? Well, sometimes we need to wait on stats, and we get our stats done. That's the reason why we very frequently, if you're ever looking to get involved in DBZ League, an easy way to do so is to get involved with our stats team. Stats are very important, and we love our stats people. They do a fantastic job, and they have to do it quickly. So, but yeah, that is how our tiebreakers work. That's how our postseason tiebreak, seeding works. I think really the only thing left to talk about that I haven't talked about before is our off-season schedule. So during the off-season, we do have several things that are ongoing. We have our testing period, which I've talked about briefly. Testing is right now between just volunteers and everything else going on. We leave that for off-season only. We also have our coach tryouts. Every year, coaches are asked if they want to continue on for the year or if they're ready to commit for another year. So it's just season to season. Coaches are primarily just responsible for mediating any discussion in their team chat and posting builds. So, and coming up with a list of any supporters who are allowed to also do that. We also do allow for trading, loaning of characters, and drop. That's when, if you want to make permanent changes to your roster, you will do so during the off season. We also have seasonal bidding for things like your map, your team music, and your free agent. Free agents are season by season, unlike in Smash League where they are week to week. And during the off season, we do have that seasonal bidding occur. Just for clarity's sake, at the end of each season, we allocate to teams a certain amount of Zenny based off their win-loss record of the main season and the postseason. So we actually have a page that goes more in depth into that. I'm not going to talk about that too much here, but it is there for anyone who would like to read that. So I'm going to open the floor again to more questions. Chat has been silent on that so far, but if anyone else has questions, I will answer it. I did have one YouTube question I will answer quickly. So the YouTube question was not specifically about how the league works. So it's only somewhat related, but it did give us some good talking stuff. So we had Fruit is Pineapple 6064 who asked, would love to know how everyone got started and how we pick our commentators, if there was a rotation or set until the end of the season, and if there's any openings. So I already answered this a little bit there, but just to reiterate, I've been here since the end of season 5. After I watched throughout season 5, I was not part of the forums at the time. This was back in 2014, something like that. So 10 years ago, I joined the Androids, became coach in season 6, joined the original DBZ League staff between season 9 and 10, and then I helped jumpstart this era of the league when Squee and that staff Squee, Burnerator, Piff, Kaio, and decided to retire. Kaio clearly decided to come back. As for commentators, we generally will do commentator. We select our commentators generally from people who are active in our Discord and are active supporters. We do like our commentators that have some functional knowledge of the league, so they can commentate like what's going on with the matches. They can at least somewhat explain what our builds do, and just kind of understand how the league works. We have a rotation just to help with our commentators, all having their own lives going on. And XMAT, one of our other staff members, handles the scheduling for that. I think he schedules it out month by month, and we just kind of post our availability, and he tells us at the start of each week who's streaming, who's co-commentating, and who is the backup. Beyond that, I don't really know. In terms of openings, we always are looking for people to do stats or help us with graphics. Again, the best way to get involved would be to join the Discord. The link should be on the channel on our main page if it's not in the description below. So yeah. And Just Warlord is asking from chat, is there a place to see FA characters that aren't on a team but not specifically FA locked? So usually the place to see that is on the website on the free agents page. So we have a list of characters that are guaranteed to be free agents. So for one reason or another, these characters are locked to the FA bench. So Adult Gohan was intentionally locked to the FA bench despite fitting on hybrids, and now Earth Defenders and Boo Saga as well. But he is FA locked. Android 21 is FA locked. General Tao, he would be FA locked anyway because he doesn't fit on team theme. Same with Grandpa Gohan. Um, but we also have any other character down here listed. If they're not like a transformation that we're making, an unused transformation that we're making available, these are characters that are on. They're there are FA characters that aren't on a team but not FA locked. So like Bobbity is available for pickup by Boo Saga, but they don't want him, so he is on the he's available for pickup as a free agent. Same with Kui, Chaozu, Jace, Raditz. We just for the health of the FA pool, because we've only got so many character slots available, we do make characters like Imperfect Cell and Oob available on a season by season basis, to help give teams options to see characters that we don't normally see, because like androids normally run perfect or super perfect cell. Like this season they're running semi-perfect. Resurrected Warriors normally runs Majub. Cold usually runs a higher form of Frieza. So yeah. D asked, what does it mean to be FA locked? FA locked just means that a character is not available for pickup by one of our 16 teams. Either intentionally they are put on the FA bench or the FA locked. Like Adult Gohan is FA locked. We have at least 3 teams, that being Hybrids, Earth Defenders, and Boo Saga, that Adult Gohan fits on. He fits on their theme. However, when we started this era of the league, we intentionally put Adult Gohan in the FA pool so that we could have really strong characters in the FA pool, because we see free agents as a balancing factor for our weaker teams like Derp, Budokai, Namek, teams that either have struggled in the past or are, they may be good, but maybe they had an off season and they're really struggling to find somebody to help fill in some of those gaps. And it's really hard when you've got teams like Boo Saga, Androids, that are consistently top tier teams, to find them your momentum again. And a free agent can really give you a breather season to come in and say, hey, we may not be able to fix everybody and find our bearings, but we know we've got Adult Gohan. We know we've got Vegeta to help give us that breathing room. Other characters like General Tao, Grandpa Gohan, Pikkon don't really fit on a team theme. And like arguably you could argue Grandpa Gohan may fit on Budokai, but he didn't fight on Budokai in the World Martial Arts Tournament on screen. Pikkon as a filler character did not really have the opportunity to fight in anything. Like, if we expanded Budokai's theme to include any tournament, then Grandpa Gohan and Pikkon would clearly fit. Tapion, like Adult Gohan, also fits on team theme. Because of modding, Tapion now fits on Kaiju, but he also fits on Cinema, and so there's that. Vegito, because of modding, Goku and Vegeta can no longer fuse into base form Vegito. But normally he's only accessible via fusion. And so, we've never really considered him a separate character for that purpose. But yeah. Any other questions, chat? I will point out, we do have a lot of stuff on our website. It's just dbzl-project11.github.io. We should have that in our descriptions or other video links or on our YouTube page. But there is a lot of information here, like what maps are available for teams to pick up. We do have some special event maps. We also have the tournament of power maps. And we also have a change log of all of our mods available so that you can see what changes we have made from the base game. We also have rules about, if you want your team to trade characters or loan characters for a season. I've brought up the legal Patara rules. I haven't talked a lot about some of the league-wide Patara rules, just because that gets a little more into the mechanics than what the intention was for tonight. But we do have some rules there that are available for people to look at when they want to. So we also have links as under useful info. We have the player calculator, very useful tool. Like we're constantly refining it. I'm right now. I haven't looked much at it lately, just due to being busy working on modding stuff for next season. But we also have some of the rules for our various events, like our Dragon Trials that we just did. If you enjoyed that event, you can look at the team themes and the rule sets that our teams teams earlier this year had to work with and to play against. Like you'll also see we have some stuff for the boss rush, ring out matches, like our least valuable and most valuable player tournaments, our all stars games, and even the old gauntlet, which is now a retired event. So, just want to point that out. We also have our seasonal schedules. Like if you want to know when two of your favorite teams face off, we have our season schedule available at a glance. We also have team schedules by team on the website available. So if all you care about is Royals and you want to know when they're facing Earth Defenders or when they're facing Androids, and if they're home or away, those schedules are available for everybody. We also have a GitHub page that shows off some of the tools I've written over the years to help do all this. So yeah, this also has the dates for all of our streams, as long as nothing happens to cause us to need to delay anything. So like this week, you'll see we've got week 7, then we've got 2 more weeks. Then on the August 17th and 24th, we'll have our All-Stars break. And we will go from there. So, and then if all goes according to plan, December 7th will be the final stream of 2024. So, but yeah, I think that's everything, guys. Thanks for coming. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments or join us in the Discord. That's really the best place to ask questions and get answers quickly. We have everybody here loves hanging out, talking DBZ League stuff. And we're always looking for new blood. Like if there's a place you think we should go and recruit new people, let us know. We enjoy it. We have enjoyed doing this for, oh man, it's been, I want to say season 1 was in 2011, 13 years. And you know, we're still having fun with it. But yeah, sorry that may not have been as organized as you would have liked. But yeah, I will see you guys on Saturday when we have week 7. Um, I hope you guys have a good evening. And if you're in our Discord, one more hour and then builds are due. And if you guys want to know what the builds are early, if you're not in our Discord, join the Discord. We post our builds in our Discord once we have reviewed them for legality. We'll post the builds shortly thereafter, and maybe you'll get a surprise there. But until then,